I know a lot of people have reviewed the Star Beast already. I have as well. And in light of the Wishing Beast, Wishing Beast, um, Wishing Beast. What am I talking about? Wild Blue Yonder. How can I get that name so wrong? Um, Clearly, I'm not as an avid classic, modern day Who fan as I used to be. Given that everything that's going on. But this is from Doctor Who TV. I just want to briefly cover this particular article because it actually highlights something at the end of it. So keep watching, but at the end of it, that made me laugh because I couldn't believe that I missed it. And it's so funny. JC reviews the 60th anniversary special. A few minutes into the Star Beast had told me it was a lost episode from the Tennant era. I'd have believed you. Those moments instantly whisked me back to the magical feel of 2008 to 2010. Absolutely agree. Loved it. In that sense, the nostalgia behind it felt so good. I felt it was long missing from Doctor Who. That's the power of nostalgia for you. Sadly, the magical illusion was shattered a few times as RTD awkwardly tried to bring Doctor Who into a whole new era. By the way, I've seen lots of tweets in the last week since I posted my review on the Star Beast saying Doctor Who has always been woke. Clearly, those people have never watched classic Who. They are not the true fans. If you've only watched modern Who, go back, watch classic. Only then will you be a true fan. Now, if we ignore the obviously contemporary elements, the Star Beast is the type of episode I'd imagine RTD would have opened Series 5 with had he, Tennant and Tate stayed on. I would agree with that. It's light and frothy air with monsters verging on the more silly side than scary. Toss in lots of explosions to keep the kids from getting too bored and end with a, oh, it's over already denotement. And that special... that's the special in the nutshell. It doesn't challenge RTD as a writer, and that's fine for an old school style opener, but for its 60th anniversary, I expected a bit more. It was very... I think my original score, which I think was like 5 out of 10, was actually very generous. My score since then, since I reviewed it, has actually gone down. Now I've put a lot more thought into what was actually on the screen versus my initial reaction. It's probably gone down to about 1.5 out of 10. The plot somewhat follows the comic of the same name. It's a simple Earth invasion story spiced up by a very fun monster, the Meep, a seemingly cute alien that turns deadly later on. And this person obviously went and read the summary and expected the evil twist, which I also knew was coming, but enjoyed seeing it play out nonetheless. The Meep was expertly brought to life. Yes, I would agree with that. The Meep was very well done, predominantly through costuming and animatronics rather than the full CGI. It was almost like an homage to Classic Who, which is generally the route that Classic Who had to go down with because they didn't have what we have today for effects, right? The Wrath, on the other hand, didn't make as much, or the Wraith, sorry. Wrath or Wraith? I always get it wrong. As much of an impression, and their costumes looked like they were on a B-movie budget. However, I will say that is also an homage to Classic Who, because that's also what Classic Who would actually look like. He's back. David Tennant's back. Aside from a few wrinkles, he slips back effortlessly into his career-defining role. When Tennant running around the TARDIS was like a giddy little boy, that's not acting, that's just Tennant. Completely agree. It was wholesome, and that's the difference between actors who love the role and those who are trying to wing it. I agree with that. I was surprised, given that this episode was a regeneration story for a new Doctor, that this episode spends very little time delving into that. I'm trying to recall. Because obviously with Christopher Eccleston, we didn't really get that regeneration episode. All we know with his first episode is that he has regenerated and he checks out his face and he's like, okay. And with David Tennant's first episode, he spent the whole time sleeping, didn't he, if I recall? Yeah, so it is a bit surprising. And then obviously other writers focus on the regeneration. In actual fact, it's also an homage that is classic as well. Classic Who does tend to focus on things that go wrong with the regeneration. Each Doctor has a different regeneration. This one was just straight into action. So yeah, maybe, or maybe because it's a bit of a glitch Doctor, then maybe when it comes to Ncuti Gatwa, not that I'm going to be watching, when it comes to Ncuti Gatwa, he will have, oh, am I assuming his pronouns? Sorry, I don't care. He will have a proper regeneration episode, right? Okay. Well, anyway, this Doctor isn't so different from Tennant's. Catherine Tate is equally as good, and it's nice to see a more grown-up Donna and motherly bonded, adding some depth. And of course, Sylvia was much nicer. Yasmin Finney, who played Rose, gives a mixed performance. She has an endearing introduction. Yeah, I would agree with that. And the scene between Sylvia and Donna was absolutely wonderful. However, yeah, some of her performance was a bit clunky. I would agree with that. Sean was great. I agree with that. Sean was great. I wish he did have more of a part, but he was there, which was nice to see. And of course, we haven't seen Bernard Cribbins yet. Okay, so this is Shirley Bingham, a unit scientist, and they didn't. This person didn't think there was much to her. Actually, I don't think there was either. And all I could keep thinking was that Kate would have made much more sense in this role instead. But obviously, they're keeping Kate for another episode. One other thing is the James Bond style wheelchair. In the light of the recent comments about Davros, so if you don't know what that is, basically Russell T Davies lightened Davros's life support system, which is the Dalek casing that he has and he uses to get around and keep himself alive, which is what it is. It's not actually a wheelchair. Equates to wheelchair users, and it's offensive, even though he didn't ask wheelchair users. It's offensive to wheelchair users because Davros is evil. Right, okay, yeah, whatever. And it just was a bit, this person found it hypocritical that her wheelchair should have gimmicks like that, like being able to fire things. I would also agree. Her wheelchair didn't need to have that gimmick. She could have just whacked out a unit gun and gone and fired, basically, if she wanted to. They agreed that the meta-crisis was short-lived, and the sexist remarks were all over the place. And the Doctor is a rare example of a smart hero who has predominantly been played by males. He has also used any power he had to save the world from evil. So yeah, there was a lot of sexism. Okay, now we're getting to the best bit. Okay, so it's called The Asides. The pre-title sequence was done wholly unnecessary. Was this done for purely Disney Plus viewers? New viewers? I think so. No, actually, I would disagree. I don't think it was done. It's been over 10 years since we had Donna and the Doctor. It serves as a reminder for those who watched it over 10 years ago, sorry. And I also think it's primarily for all new viewers, not just Disney Plus viewers, all new viewers. Just 3 episodes for 14 doesn't seem like it's going to be anywhere near enough if we're going to start having something that comes off this light and frothy. So basically, we could have had like a mini-series, a proper mini-series with these characters, like 6 episodes maybe. Murray Gold has made a noticeable change, but I am struggling to think of a single memorable track from Sagan Akinola era. And this person was also hoping that Donna would have some sort of ticking clock over her with the meta-crisis. And actually, I was too. The handling of the meta-crisis was pretty crap. The ground-cracking apart magically sealing game was questionable to say the least. Okay, these are all funny. Just a size thing. But this is one interesting point, and I'm glad if you've managed to make it this far, because I have rambled on in this part. Wait for it. Rose never asked the doctor's gender. And I thought this was all about trans activism, this episode. How could you miss something that trans activists constantly bleat on about? Ask someone's gender, ask someone's gender, ask someone's gender, and then you don't. I know we had that stuff with the meep, but the meep is very obviously the meep because that is how the meep refers to the meep self. Wow, I'm impressed that I even managed to say that. Okay, and that was not me even thinking. But she didn't ask the doctor. And the doctor didn't ask her. Alright? So, you going to fix that? Are you? What's your gender, doctor? How do you identify, doctor? Are you he, she, they? Trans activists bleat on about it all the time, and yet they missed one of the most activist phrases ever. And I tell you something, if I missed it, and I'm not a trans activist, but then from reading something, it did actually dawn on me that that happened. And the fact that with all the tweets that I've read and the articles that I've read regarding the Star Beast and Rose and her being transgender, why didn't the trans activists who were so celebrating the new era of Doctor Who being so activist miss that? And I'll tell you why. Because it's not a natural way of talking. The majority of people don't go up to someone and say, "What are your pronouns?" Why? Because it's like 0.3 seconds and we immediately see someone's biological gender, unless we clearly can see that they have transitioned. And if they have transitioned, then, you know, we shouldn't even be questioning it because we know, you know, why would they go to the effort to transition? But oh my God, I was floored. I was like, she never asked. How can you make that serious mistake? For the trans activists, you're bringing Who into this new modern era and you balls it up by not asking the most important question that the only trans character in Doctor Who history didn't ask. Not good. Let me know what you think. Chat about it. Don't chat about it. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my social media pages as well. I actually have a Twitter account now, and it's at @ChatDon'tShout. So follow me on there as well. It'd be great to hear your views. I do put out regular tweets. I'm more active on there because I have time to do it during the day. So check it out. Thank you.